This is the Rodecaster Pro. The Rodecaster Pro is a standalone podcast recording platform, and there's actually two ways in which you can use the Rodecaster Pro. The first way is as a standalone podcast station, which means that you don't need anything else besides this piece of equipment with the headphones and the speakers, and you can run your podcast with just that because it has an SD card and you can record directly onto an SD card. In that regard, it's not much different from portable recorders like the Zoom H6 that we have seen in previous videos. It's not much different. It's not as portable, but it does have enhanced capabilities, better preamplification, and has the ability to connect more peripherals such as microphones, audio devices, and headphones. As a USB device, you can connect that directly into a computer or to a laptop so that the recordings are recorded directly onto apps such as Adobe Audition or GarageBand, depending on how you want that recording to be. For 90% of the functions are going to be exactly the same, whether you use it as a standalone device or if you connect it to a computer. So most of the videos produced in that series will be appropriate for any of the two uses. So in this video, I'm quickly going to cover the introduction to what this device can do and look at the actual hardware. So this has the capacity to connect 4 separate microphones, and there's a bunch of different connections that we can also use. So if we look at the back of the device, let's start with the different connections at the back of the device. So we have a Kensington lock if you want to lock it in place. You have the power button. You have the power input. So this is where you connect it to the power. A USB input. So that USB input has different functions, and I will cover that in dedicated video later on. But essentially, this is what you use to connect it back into a computer if you want to record your audio into a computer, or it can feed in as well. A micro USB slot, so you can record directly onto a micro USB card. If you want to broadcast your podcast to an audience, you can also have the capability to connect speakers to the Rodecaster Pro. You have 4 outputs for headphones, so it has the capability to have up to 4 people podcasting on individual channels, and each person will have their own headphone output. This is a telephone input, so just the 3.5mm jack that you have on some of your phones still. You can connect that directly through here, and these 4 inputs are XLR inputs for XLR microphones. There's nothing on the left of the device, and at the bottom of the device, at the front of the device should I say, there's only one 3.5mm jack output, so you can connect a pair of headphones to it. The difference between the ones at the back and this one is that this one is not monitored, so you can't actually have a lot of control over what's happening here. So we're not going to use it much, but it's just an external output that won't be used that much. On the front of the device, looks pretty full on, but it's actually relatively simple. On the left, we have 4 buttons here, labeled 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of these buttons represents one of the microphones. So for example, microphone 1, this represents microphone 1. So if we go back at the back, this is the jack for the microphone 1. So this is the slider gain. The gain slider, for the microphone 1, and same for microphone 2, 3, and 4. We have the USB slider as well. So if you are inputting music from a USB source, this is how you can change the gain. The phone input at the back, and this device also has the capability of connecting to a Bluetooth device. So this is actually a Bluetooth symbol. A Bluetooth device, so you can connect your phone, for example, if you want to have record telephone calls. This can be quite handy. On the right hand side, we have 8 pads. So these pads are dedicated sound pads. So the device comes pre-programmed with certain sounds, and I will record these sounds later. They come with pre-programmed sounds, and the users have the ability to reprogram these pads to whatever sound they want. And there is a 500 megabyte onboard storage for specifically recording these sounds. So it can be very handy if you want to have a transition, or if you have a standard introduction. You don't have to say it all the time. You just press on a button and you have the pad playing. And these pads also have a dedicated gain level. At the top we have, just going to zoom in a little. At the top we have control for the volume of the headphone. So each headphone has a dedicated volume depending on the sensitivity of certain people. And then we have a master volume for the entire device. There is obviously the record button that you press to start recording your podcast. And here we have a screen which is a fully functional touch screen. So the interesting thing is that a lot of these buttons are backlit, so you can actually choose what color of light you want these to operate at. And also, if you're recording in an environment that's quite dark, you have all these backlit buttons that can be quite handy. So in the next video, I'm going to quickly go through some of the settings in the Rodecaster Pro and looking at how we can connect different devices to this podcasting station.